What's up guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Before I get into questions, I want to mention very quickly that Collector Zone wants to do another giveaway, so stay to the end of this video to find out how to enter that. Also, I need to extend a huge thank you to Kroptar Draven. He pledged $100 a month on Patreon, and that means so much to me. You have no idea, so thank you very much, Kroptar. That donation actually puts us over the next goal I had set up on Patreon, so I will be hosting a patron-exclusive live stream very soon. So if you're a patron, stay tuned for more info on that over on Patreon. Okay, on to questions. Jeremy Staley and Yannick G ask what potential characters we might see in the Han Solo movie now that we know for sure that Lando will appear. I do think that Lobot makes a lot of sense because according to the Lando comic, they had been friends for quite a while, so a Lobot appearance or cameo even, I could see that as very likely. I also see Boba Fett as having a lot of potential of showing up considering Han and Fett have always kind of had a rivalry, at least in Legends. And same goes for Dengar as well. Han and Dengar really don't like each other in Legends, so maybe they're going to stay true to that or not. I think they have said that Chewbacca would be in it. Other potentials could be Jabba, maybe Greedo, but I think they need to be careful and not throw in too much just like pure fan service. If it serves the story, then great, but they need to really focus on, you know, making a great story, a good Han Solo story, over just dumping as many Han Solo related characters as they can into the same film. Michael Geheb wants to know when we can expect to see the Dr. Afra and the Yoda comics that are about to come out. The short answer is they both premiere in December. Dr. Afra will be its own thing and it'll be an ongoing series, but the Yoda comic is actually going to be part of the main Star Wars comic. So it's going to be like I think a 2-issue interlude, one in December and one in January from what I've read. The Razor Vids asks if the new book Star Wars Complete Locations is canon and if all the information within it is canon, because there is a lot that seems to come from old Legends stuff. Here's how I've been approaching reference books. Basically, I do treat them all as canon until something proves otherwise. For example, in the book Ultimate Star Wars, there are a lot of things, even though it's a canon book technically, there are a lot of things that are incorrect and that are from Legends. Like, I think it talks about synthetic kyber crystals, and we now know that synthetic kyber crystals are not a thing. So I basically feel like you can treat anything you read in a reference book as canon until something in like an actual story disproves it or confirms it. So anything in a movie or TV or a book, comic, video game, something with an actual story, I think that's always going to take precedence over a reference book. But reference books are just there to be like helpful aids. So I wouldn't treat them as like gospel so much as an actual story. But for the time being, yeah, I'm basically treating it as if everything in there is canon. Once a Man expressed a little confusion on how a Jedi Knight attains the rank of Jedi Master, especially in Anakin's case, where he sat on the council but was not considered a master. The reason he wasn't promoted was because one of the prerequisites is for a Jedi Knight to train a Padawan into becoming a Jedi Knight. So, for example, Obi-Wan trained Anakin from Padawan to Knight and was promoted to Master. Ahsoka didn't complete her training. She left the Jedi Order, so Anakin has technically never trained a Padawan into knighthood, so he technically can't be a master. Now, Once a Man also mentioned how he's referred to as a master in the Clone Wars, but that's just from Ahsoka, who was his apprentice, so she'll call him master, but he's not a Jedi master, if that makes sense. Colton Barine asks if I ever want like an origin story for the Force itself. And frankly, no, I don't. I hope they never ever cover anything about why the Force exists. I've always been happy and content to just accept that it does in that universe. It's just always been there and it always will be. and I don't really want any further explanation from that. It's just the magic of Star Wars. Let's leave it mystical. Don't ever like touch on it. Don't go back and visit like the ones and say that like they somehow created the Force. I don't want any of that. Let's just say the Force is there. That's all we need to know. That's it for patron questions. As always, if you did not see your question answered in this video, go back to Patreon on our weekly Q&A thread, and I gave you a written response over there. On to YouTube questions. Cole Valoria asked how I feel about Donald Glover's casting as Lando Calrissian. If you don't follow me on Twitter, then you missed all of my celebration. I'm very, very excited about it. I have always been a fan of Donald Glover ever since his days in Derek Comedy on YouTube, which was forever ago. But I think he's going to knock it out of the park. I tweeted a bunch of like community-related reaction GIFs to it. One of them was actually picked up by Entertainment Weekly. That was cool. So yeah, my answer is I'm thrilled that Donald Glover is going to play Lando Calrissian, and this is probably the most excited for the Han Solo movie that I have been so far. Illuminatus Conspira in Vivo, I had to write that username down, wants to know if I think we're ever going to see Delta Squad again. I think that it's totally possible. Weren't there rumors of a Republic Commando 2 or like Imperial Commando video game circling around recently that they might revisit that? And if they did, I would assume it would still follow Delta Squad. And they are canon. They appeared in an episode of the Clone Wars, so it's totally possible. And even if it's not like in a video game, I could absolutely see them even just appearing in the background of a comic. Like, it would be very easy. So yeah, I think it's probably likely at some point we'll see Delta Squad pop up again. Dig the Hole USMN asks what I think of the Iron Squadron and the Winkathu Job. I had to write that title down. The Winkathu Job episode of Star Wars Rebels will be about. Right now, we know those titles and nothing more. They're coming out in the end of November. The Iron Squadron makes me think of Warlord Zinj and his Super Star Destroyer Iron Fist, but I really doubt that they would bring him in. Instead, I'm thinking that maybe that could be the Dark Trooper type droids, Imperial droids that we saw in the Rebel Season 3 trailer. As for the Winkathu Job, that makes me think of like a heist of some sort, and I'm guessing it'll involve that YT-2400 also seen in the trailer. Other than that, really, I have no clue at all. Darth Venom wants to know if I'd ever like to see the Star Wars Infinities come back. If you don't know what those are, they were like a what-if scenario in Star Wars, kind of like those videos that Stupendous Wave does. But these were comics that would explore, like, what if Luke didn't destroy the Death Star in the Battle of Yavin? How would things have played out differently? And there were, I think, 3 issues. There's 3 that I know of, at least. I'd read them again, but I'm also not, like, dying to see them make a return. Like, the new canon is still so small compared to Legends that I would rather they focus on making content to flesh things out. Like, Infinities, I feel like they came about because where else can you go in Legends except let's try to explore kind of these what-if scenarios. So I would read them again, absolutely, but right now I just would prefer that they focus on new stories. Elijah Bleckman asks, if I could let any Jedi survive Order 66, who would I choose? If you're talking about just the ones that we see actually killed on screen, I'd probably go with Plo Koon, just because I've always been a fan of his. But if you're talking about absolutely any Jedi to just be brought back and like maybe continued on in a book or comic or something, I'd probably go with Quinlan Vos. I really liked his story in Legends, his post-Order 66 story, because he survived, barely. But I think that would be cool. What I really think would be cool, though, is if we followed, like, if we got like an anthology comic series where every issue or every 5 issues followed like one survivor of Order 66 and kind of what they did until they died, which sounds like it could be tragic and maybe kind of a downer of a series, but something that I wish that we got more of in episode 3 is like Darth Vader as Darth Vader in the suit. And I was kind of expecting that maybe we would actually see him hunting Jedi down, as Obi-Wan alluded to in A New Hope, and we didn't get to see that, and I would like to see that. So I'd like to see Vader actually hunting Jedi. So each issue or arc or whatever could have them kind of going on a little adventure, and then it would end with them facing off with Vader or an Inquisitor or the Empire in general. Like, I think that would be very interesting to see, is just like the final days of the Jedi. And I think in Aftermath Life Debt, they actually talked about kind of a last stand of the Jedi, so it could all, maybe that's how it would go. The comic series would follow these Jedi as they gathered together and then made their final stand, and some of them get picked off along the way. I don't know. I'd have to brainstorm that a little bit. I kind of like that idea, though. That's all the time for questions I have today, but I want to talk about the giveaway really quick. Collector Zone offered to do another one, so this time we're giving away this exclusive Jyn Erso Funko Pop. To enter, just follow the link in the description. There are different things you can do to enter. You can do as many as you want or just one, however you want to do it. The winner will be randomly selected and announced in next week's Q&A. If you haven't already, please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.